You say you want change. You say you're ready to stop procrastinating, to stop hiding, to finally become the person you know you're meant to be, but you don't. Instead, you scroll, you hesitate, you make excuses, you sabotage yourself. Why? It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're weak. It's because something deeper, something invisible, is pulling the strings. Today, we're going to look directly into the face of that invisible force. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most self-sabotage doesn't look like failure. It looks like hesitation, like endless planning, like starting and then quitting. It wears 1,000 masks: perfectionism, procrastination, burnout, busyness. But at the core of all of them is fear. Not fear of failure, like we've been told, but something far more dangerous: the fear of becoming who you truly are. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But think about it. Who would you be if you stopped making excuses? What would you have to face if you took full responsibility? Self-sabotage protects you from this terrifying question. What if I try and it still doesn't work? That possibility is so painful that your brain decides, better to never try, better to stay small. At least then I can pretend I'm still in control. Your mind doesn't care if you succeed. It only cares that you stay the same, familiar, predictable, safe. That's why change feels so unnatural, why growth feels like death, because every time you stretch beyond who you've been, you threaten the identity your brain has clung to for years. If you've always been the shy one, then speaking up feels like a betrayal. If you've always been the procrastinator, then taking consistent action feels like a lie. It's not just about habits, it's about identity. And unless you're willing to kill the old version of you, you'll never meet the new one waiting on the other side. We worship comfort like a god. Comfort food, comfort zones, comfortable lives. But comfort has a hidden cost. It demands your potential in exchange. It whispers to you, why risk rejection when you can stay liked? Why chase your dream when scrolling is easier? Why speak your truth when silence keeps the peace? Comfort never shouts, it seduces. And every time you say yes to it, you say no to your future. You don't sabotage yourself because you're broken. You sabotage yourself because you've been trained to avoid discomfort at all costs. But everything you want lives on the other side of that discomfort. Everything. Not now. I'll start tomorrow. Just one more week. You don't notice the pattern until it becomes your personality, until later becomes your way of life. But here's what no one tells you. Later is a lie. It doesn't exist. There is no future version of you who will magically feel ready. There is only the you of this moment, tired, scared, and unsure, who either acts or doesn't. And every time you choose delay, you reinforce the same identity that keeps you stuck. Change is not an explosion, it's erosion. Small moments where you choose differently or don't. So what now? Do you force change? Push harder? Make a 10-step plan? No. You simply become aware. Start noticing the subtle moments when sabotage creeps in. That voice that says, don't bother. The urge to check your phone. The plan you rewrite for the third time instead of starting. And in those moments you ask, am I acting from fear or freedom? That question alone can break the pattern. Because now you're not inside the trap. You're observing it. And when you observe it, you can choose something different. There's a strange moment that happens when you start to succeed. Not big success, just movement. You begin waking up earlier. You start finishing what you begin. You hear someone say, you've changed. And that's when the panic sets in. Because success doesn't just challenge your habits. It threatens your relationships, your worldview, your place in the tribe. Some people won't like your growth, not because they hate you, but because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. So what do? You shrink, you back off, you sabotage again, just enough to return to the version of yourself that everyone recognizes. You convince yourself you're being realistic, but in truth, you're just afraid of outgrowing the cage. There's a version of you that already exists, not in the future. Now you've met glimpses of them, in fleeting moments of clarity, courage, presence. They're not perfect, but they move forward, they speak truth, they don't shrink to make others comfortable. That version of you is always waiting, not for the right moment, not for a breakthrough, just for a decision, a shift, a moment where you say, I'm done abandoning myself. Because self-sabotage doesn't end with more knowledge. It ends when you stop negotiating with your fear, when you stop apologizing for your potential, when you stop asking for permission to live your life. That version of you is not a fantasy. They're a choice, and that choice is right now. You don't need to be fixed. You need to wake up. You are not your self-doubt. You are not your past patterns. You are not your fear. You are the awareness beneath all of it, the one who sees the trap and decides to walk out. So if you've been waiting for a sign to stop sabotaging yourself, this is it. If you've made it this far, I want to tell you something simple, but important. There's nothing wrong with you, truly. What you call self-sabotage is just a defense mechanism. It's your mind trying to protect you the only way it knows how, even if sometimes it ends up holding you back. But now you see it. Now you're a little more aware. And the next time that voice inside says, don't bother, or you're not ready, or you're not enough, you'll be able to pause. You'll recognize it. You don't have to get rid of that voice. You just have to stop letting it run the show. And no, you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to feel completely ready. You just need to begin. Even if your hands shake, even if you doubt yourself, even if it's messy, the version of you you've been waiting to become, they're already here. They're just waiting for you to stop hiding. So take the first step. Not perfectly, but honestly, right now. If this video made you think, even just a little, consider giving it a like. It helps more than you know, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What resonated with you the most? What are you still struggling with? If you're into content like this, real, honest, and focused on what actually matters, hit subscribe and stick around. We're just getting started. Right now.